going to be personalising then, and even though it's a gorgeous bag as it is with this ivory and this really nice shiny gold on it, I do think that with a little bit of personalisation it's going to look even better. So let's jump into Cricut Design Space and design what we're going to put onto our bag. First thing that I'm going to do then is create myself a template to work with on the screen. So I've measured my bag and it's 8.5 inches by 10. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go over to the shapes menu here and just get myself a basic square. And I'm going to pop that onto the canvas. Then I'm going to come up the top here to this padlock and I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to change my width to 8 inches and I'm going to make my height 10 inches, and I'm just going to hit enter. Then I'm going to lock that padlock back up to stop me from accidentally changing the size of my box. Now I'm going to make this into a white colour just so that it's easier to work with on the screen. Now I already know what I'm going to write on this bag, and I know which font I'm going to use as well because it's a really pretty one. So let's go over here again now and select the text box, and we're going to put on here what we want it to say. So it's happy 18th birthday Ella, and I'm going to pop that in the centre of my template. In fact, I'm going to just put my view down to 75% just to make it so that we can see the whole thing on there. Now what I'm going to do is change my font. So I'm just going to select just my words. I'm going to come up to here to the font box, and this is actually a font that I have downloaded from Creative Fabrica, and the link will be down below for you. It's called amzn. It's a beautiful font. It cuts really nicely and it's really nice and flowy. So let's make this a good size. Now there's a couple of changes I like to make to this because there's a lot of space in between this B and the I, and I don't like that, and then there's no space in between the 18 and the TH, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is come up here and ungroup. I'm just going to pull my square out of the way for a second, and I'm going to just select the T and the H first, just move that. I think I'm going to put it up a little bit, and then I'm going to select the 1 and the 8. I'm just going to group them back together. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, and I'm going to put it there, and then I'm going to pull that down. So that's better, I think. There we go. And then I want to move that H in a little bit. I'm going to move that B in a little bit also. Right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to select each line and just group them because I want to bunch them up a little bit more as well. So let's do that. You can do this by using the reduce line distance button, but I always find it doesn't work very well, and then you end up with things in the wrong spot. Right, let's pop this template back in place now. Let's select all 3 lines and just group them, and then let's make this the size that we'd like it to be. It's going to be about like that. So we are on 6.5 inches by about 5 1/4 ish, so that's pretty good. What I'm going to do now then is hide this box. Then I'm going to select my words, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom here to the combine menu, and I'm going to click on unite. And the reason that I've clicked on unite rather than weld is so that if I do want to make any changes to it, I can always come back to the combine menu and click on undo unite, and then that will allow me to go back into my design and make some changes. So if for instance this doesn't cut right, or I need to move any letters around or anything like that, that's going to allow me to do that. So now I'm happy with the way my design looks. I'm just going to go through to make. I'm not going to save it because I don't think I'm going to need this one again. So that is exactly how I want it to be, and it looks exactly how it did on the canvas. Let's go through to continue. Now we're going to choose our material setting here. I've got all my bookmarks already selected here, but if you don't have bookmarks, you can come to Browse All Materials and you'll be able to look at all the different materials that your machine is capable of cutting. You can also come up here to the categories section. Just click on that and it's going to bring up all of the different categories. I'm going to click on vinyl, and then you're going to be able to see all of the different vinyls that my machine is capable of cutting. I'm going to choose the premium outdoor vinyl setting and click on done. This one is actually one of my bookmarks and it's here just on my screen. So I've selected that. Now I'm ready to get my mat set up and get my vinyl on there ready to cut out. For this project today then I'm going to be using a light grit mat and some black Oracle 651 vinyl. I'm just going to turn my mat around so that I'm looking at the inches side of the mat. So at the top here is the 0 and each one of these boxes is an inch. I am going to just cut a piece of this vinyl off. Let me move that out of the way. So let's just grab my ruler and I'm just going to make it 6 inches because I know that it is 5 1/4 deep, but I want to make sure that I've got enough there just in case. Let's just cut this off. One thing I really love about Oracle 651 is the fact that it's got this grid on the back, and it just makes it so much easier to cut out the piece that you need in the size that you need. I'm just going to refer to my image on the screen. Let's just put that on there. I'm going to overlap the edges a touch just because this is a little bit bigger than the 30 centimeters there. It'll be fine, it'll just go through the rollers on the side. So we've selected our material, we've got our material on the mat, we've given it a good bray down, ready to pop it in the machine and cut it out. Alright then, I have cut this out and it looks good. I've checked that the cut has been successful just by taking a little bit out of there. I'm actually going to turn it around and leave it on the mat to weed. So I've got my weeding pen here. Let's just make a bit of space. I'm just going to move the camera down a little bit so that we can see. So all this here is spare vinyl, so I'm just going to lift that up and just carefully cut off that excess vinyl, so I can use that one on another project. All I'm going to do to start then is take the corner off here and just peel that back. The cut's done really well actually. I'm doing it on the mat just so it gives me both hands free. So now that that is all weeded, we can just remove it from the mat. Next I'm going to grab a piece of my favourite transfer paper and we're going to apply this piece of vinyl to it. So just put that up there. There we go. There we go. And all we're going to do is get our squeegee, which is this, and then we're just going to give that a good burnish. And we're going to do that on both of the sides. There we go, that is nice and smooth. So that is what it should look like. Now we need to remove this backing paper. So the best way to do it is if you just bend back your corner like that and then just peel back. And I always find that starting off at the top corner and then progressing to go from right to left works best with text, especially cursive fonts. I tend to try and avoid pulling down when I'm removing something from a backing paper. There we go, that is brilliant. Let's pop that backing paper in the bin. Now let's bring in our bag. And I am going to, just by eye, look at where it's going I'm going to carefully pop that down. We'll move the gift tag out of the way and then just smooth that across each of the words. I'm just doing it like I would on a balloon, so I want to make sure that all of my lettering, where it's joined from one letter to another, I follow that join to make sure that we don't end up with any bubbles. That looks good. And then again, pick it up from the top right hand corner and just pull that back nicely. And there we go. And then once we've done that, what we can do is just carefully run over that with your finger just to make sure it's all nicely adhered to your bag. And there you go, a personalised gift bag, especially for Ella for her 18th. I think she's going to really like it. I hope she does. But if this has inspired you to make your own personalised gift bags, please don't forget to let me know in the comments down below. And if you've got any questions, please ask and I will always try to answer where I can. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon for another video. Bye!